spotted right away in front of his booth. He took off his credentials and started walking through all the other booths, and then into a slow jog and into a full sprint. So I chased him down in my young career and caught him on an escalator, and then thinking I had to stay with him or whatnot, I kept following him. He ran into a vestibule, locked himself in a turnstile. Then he went into a cab line and hopped into a taxi cab, in the middle of the line where the cab's not going anywhere. So it just, kind of a crazy chase per se, kind of a bad experience because he's out of breath, I'm out of breath, going, why did you run? And he said, I wanted them to get their money's worth. So
you're listening to Process Server Daily, the show where hustle meets strategy in the high-stakes world of process serving. From elite pros to the new servers taking massive action, these are the voices of a rising industry. Hosted by the founder of 123 Legal Support, Mighty Mike Reid. This is your backstage pass to building a profitable process serving empire. Let's get into it.
Our guest today is a licensed private detective and process server. He is the owner-operator of Windy City Process and has been serving papers for over 17 years. He holds integrity and professionalism as key values in his industry, and he is here to rock the mic. Bob Rusch, welcome to the show.
Mighty Mike, thanks for having me on.
Hey man, this is super awesome. We're also joined by Alyssa from Instinctive Investigations. How you doing, Alyssa?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. She's here. This is her second episode as the co-host of Process Server Daily. So we're super excited to have her on. She's been doing great. So Bob, we don't want to dive right into the work stuff too quick, even though I know you have some major value bombs to just rain down upon us. Tell us, do you have family there in the Windy City?
Absolutely. I'm married to my wife for the last 12 years. We've got 4 boys together, ages 10, 9, 7, and 5, Tony, Bobby, Owen, and Brady. And it's crazy and fun all at the same time.
There you go. That's the only way to go. So tell us, how did you get started in the industry, and tell us a little bit about that story. How did you get started?
Sure. Well, back in 2001, a good friend of mine I have to blame for this. His name's Dan Riley. He was working for a law firm in the docket department here downtown Chicago, and he had experience giving papers to process servers. Well, he said, I could open this business and do this myself. Are you in? And at the time, I was actually living in Florida for about a little less than a year, taking care of my parents for a little bit. And I said, yeah, I'll come back and help you with it. So long story longer, I got back to Chicago, and obviously there wasn't enough business right away for both of us to survive. So I worked for him part-time. I managed a restaurant. I was doing court runs for him. And then one day he said, you know what, I'm getting out of the business. And I said, well, wait a minute. Don't close it down. I was in a sales job that I just did not like at all. And I said, from my experience with you the last year or so, I could do this. I know I could do this. And I always had that drive to own my own business. So sure enough, I quit my sales job and I started this company that called Legal Assistance that, grew, and I had a great first year. And then 7 years later, I actually was solicited by a colleague in the industry who had left the industry and came back. He was hired by a corporate firm who was starting a detective agency subsidiary to basically serve papers. And he said, I could use a man to operate the subsidiary that basically is non-existent. So together we built it up, and I worked in corporate process serving per se for 7 years before I became a corporate statistic 2 years ago. And so basically that's where I am now. I went to work for Logical, the parent company for ServeNow, ServeManager, and now courtfiling.net. And was with those great folks for about a year. And we parted ways, and now I'm back opening another process serving business for myself. So here's where I am.
What did you do there?
Sure. In-house, basically, I was their first person with actual process serving experience to come work for them. So I was talking to a lot of clients, basically selling ServeManager, and as well as their Stripe collection function that you can use through ServeManager, and then basically calling clients and saying, they're asking them if they need help, if I could suggest better ways to use ServeManager in their business, things like that, and then also soliciting process servers who don't use software at all to try and get them into the trial, and being able to explain it as a business owner, as a process server, on how it works and how simple it really is to use, how they can just simplify their process serving life and basically free up more time, for other things in your life besides sitting there filling out affidavits.
Yeah, really cool that you have that kind of experience, and you as a detective, as a process server, and working for that software company, being able to help other people implement that stuff. So there's a lot of crossover between you and I that kind of have a lot of the same experiences with sales and stuff too.
Absolutely. That's one of the things I really believe in is experience, not only in life, but, in your industry you're at. It never hurts to learn more about, different things out there, from marketing to software to your site. I mean, your site's unbelievable.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Bob, let's get into you and your story. And we don't like to be too negative here. We like to end it on a positive note. But we got to start somewhere. Take us to a time and take us to that moment, because that's what people really resonate with. Take us to that moment, that worst experience you had in your career.
Two things real quick. One of the worst experiences I had when I first started was I had to serve a guy at a trade show here in Chicago at McCormick Place. And it's a very big, huge room that does trade shows. And this gentleman was coming over from overseas, and I had to serve him as the president of a company. Unfortunately, I was spotted right away in front of his booth. He took off his credentials and started walking through all the other booths, and then into a slow jog and into a full sprint. So I chased him down in my young career, caught him on an escalator, and then thinking I had to stay with him or whatnot, I kept following him. He ran into a vestibule, locked himself in a turnstile. Then he went into a cab line and hopped into a taxi cab, in the middle of the line where the cab's not going anywhere. So it just, kind of a crazy chase per se, kind of a bad experience, because he's out of breath, I'm out of breath, going, "Why did you run?" And he said, "I wanted them to get their money's worth." So it was kind of BS for me, but I guess a real life-changing experience in this industry was when I was young as well, and I had to serve a guy, and I had to drive pretty far out there to get him, and it was at night, and I'm like, I'm not coming back here. And I was knocking on the door, and I see a woman inside, and she was younger, and she wouldn't answer the door. So you're right there in the window, knock, 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 ring doorbell. I'm like, I'm not coming back here. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to knock on that door and ring that doorbell. Well, sure enough, she wouldn't come to the door. So I finally gave up, and I'm out in my car, and I'm sitting in a cul-de-sac here in the suburb, and another car comes in. The garage door goes up. Hey, it's the husband. It's the guy I'm looking for. Garage door goes down. I run to the front door. I'm ringing the doorbell. He screams through the window, "I hope you're happy. The police are on their way." And I said, "Great." So the police showed up. They look at me. I look at them. I said, "Here you go." Ended up serving the guy. But the bad experience that came out of that was I got a call from the Illinois Department of Professional Regulation not too long after that. And it was a gentleman said, "Let's meet and talk. There was a complaint filed against you." And I said, "Really?" I said, "By who?" And he said, "Well, we can't tell you." So we meet. The guy was very cool, and he said he checked out my NAPS listing, and he said, "You got to take this off your listing. You can't do this, you can't do that, and you're fine. Don't worry about it." So he had me shaking in my boots for a while, thinking I did something wrong.
Well, it's something that I talk about a lot when it comes to our whole industry is based on the legal parameters that have been set by the county, depending on what state you live in. In my state, it's based on the county. And so when someone filed a complaint against me for doing something similar, knocking, and I came back like 2 hours later, did it again. And this was when I first started too, and I was kind of a little whippersnapper. I'm like, I'm not driving an hour down the hill. I'm going to go have lunch. I'm going to come back. I'm going to go hit these other serves. I'm going to come back until I get you. And so, yeah, I had they actually had the district attorney, one of his assistants, come because it was county. So, and it was a business and professions code is what it fell under. So something similar. So, and it's crazy that somebody who got served can complain against you as if you had some business transaction with them. No, you served them.
Exactly. It's kind of crazy.
Kind of like them leaving you a bad review or something. It's like, you can't review me. You did not hire me. Like, I served you,
I know. Exactly.
So that's good stuff. And Bob, what I take most from your story is just get out there. And when you're out there, think about what you're doing when you go to the door.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So Bob, what do you want Server Nation to take from your story?
Well, what I think a server should take from both of those stories is to be smart. Assess the situation in front of you. Obviously, in one of those cases, someone's not going to answer the door blatantly. They know you're there. they see you there. Whatever you do is not going to make them come to the door unless you lit the place on fire or something and they had to run out. So just assess your situation anywhere you're at and be smart. Do you have to chase some guy down? What do your rules say? Can you just serve them right there and drop the papers? It's them. You've identified them, things like that. So assess the situation and kind of do the smart thing.
And sometimes it's good to take it just 7 seconds and think, this is my first attempt. I know there's somebody inside, but I don't necessarily know who it is or if this is even the right address. So I'm just going to come back.
Right.
Or maybe I'm going to talk to a neighbor. But to beat on the door, probably not good on the first attempt.
No, the back end of what you are doing is a lot worse than what you might be accomplishing on the front end. So you got to think of it that way too.
That's great. So moving on to your greatest experience in the field or in your career, take us to that moment. Take us there.
One of the greatest serves I've ever had was a home improvement company that was really small, and I had to serve this guy who owned it. It was getting nowhere at the house. He didn't want to be served. He wasn't even opening the blinds, nothing. My client found out that this man was a wrestler on the side, and very, very small local wrestling club where they had a warehouse. They put on shows once a month or so, and he was the hero. His character was obviously the hero who wrestled last. And so a friend of mine, I goaded him into coming with me. I kind of dressed up as a wrestling fan. There was all of about 20 people there, kind of disguised myself a little bit. We go in this warehouse. There's 3 rows of chairs. There's an open bar. It was just kind of odd. And then there's this wrestling ring. So they put on a show. They had about 7 or 8 characters, and there was a full storyline. And of course, the last event was the tag team event where the bad guys were going against the good guys, and the good guys happened to be brothers. The guy I was trying to serve for this home improvement company and his brother. So we let the match play out, and ended up being there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours watching this show, and identified the guy I needed to serve. And I didn't want to make a big scene because there were other wrestlers there, and I'm not kidding you, 6'5", 275, that were just standing around. So I waited in line because the guy said, "Hey, if you're interested in getting into wrestling, come talk to me." So we talked to him after the show. I'm the last guy. I got the papers on my jacket, and I pull him aside and I say, "Hey, I know your name's Mike. I've got these documents for you. It's someone's complaint. You're being sued. Your home improvement company's being sued." I go, just trying to be quiet about this. So I give him the papers. What? He gets all crazy, and he grabs the 6'5", 270-pound guy and says, "Come over here. This guy's trying to serve me." He goes, "What?" He takes the papers. They throw them at me. I walked right out of the place, throws it at me, hits me in the back. It scatters all over outside, and it was a cold February night. One of the characters is a clown. When I get to my car, I look back, and this clown with huge floppy feet, the whole costume on, comes running out and starts picking up the papers for this guy in the parking lot as they're blowing away. I said, I think we accomplished something there that night. It was just a great serve where, we're getting nowhere with this guy, and he happens to be a wrestler, and we find him and we serve him, and the satisfaction was, I guess, the greatest part of it. Just in this industry, the greatest satisfaction I've gotten is meeting people like yourself, guys like Steve Glenn, Ruth Reynolds out in Carolina, and then team at Logical, just people in the industry who are so willing to help you, so willing to give advice, so willing to, help you out any way they can. And it's great. I
agree, Bob. This industry is like none other. When I first started serving papers, I thought, because I did a lot of sales and stuff, I remember thinking, there's certain rules you have to follow. You can't just forward jobs. And, when I found out you could forward jobs to other servers, I was like, aren't you kind of breaking the rules? You're going to make money on the job and you're going to pay this guy 25. You're going to get 50, 75, 125, whatever.
Right.
It seemed like that would be illegal. And the funny thing is, in this industry, it's encouraged. It's like, yeah, send it to me. I'll do it for $25. Give me 100 of them,
Right.
So,
right.
But as you grow, hopefully you don't have to do it. But meeting people that are willing to help you build your business you're not in short supply. There's people everywhere that are willing to help in this industry, and Server Nation is full of them. So
absolutely.
What are you working on right now that has you most fired up, most excited?
A couple things, actually. So e-filing is now mandatory in Illinois, and I'm working on building that into my business as well. here, there's a lot of attorneys in Chicagoland, that, do things for themselves. And this is something they really don't want to do because there are many stories out there right now, especially in Cook County, of the problems they're having with e-filing. So if you're an impatient attorney, you don't want to do it. You want to give it to somebody else to make it their problem. Well, that's where we come in. I just think it opens up another level of business income to incorporate that into your process serving business. So working on getting that together right now, as well as building my own business up. It's great to ring doorbells sometimes, but there's other days that you don't want to be the person ringing doorbells. You'd rather do the administrative tasks and have time for other things. So working on building up the business as well. And then my third project here is I'm working on another registered agent service like nationwide. I don't want to get into it yet, but it is something where someone can go to a single site and get a registered agent served nationwide for a low price.
That's awesome. I'm going to have to talk to you after the show because that sounds like a good opportunity.
Hey, quick break from the episode to tell you about something that's changing the game for process servers across the country. It's called Mighty Process Servers. And yeah, you can join absolutely free. Inside, you'll get full access to every course, every download, and the educational tools that we use to help process servers build profitable companies. We meet every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern for our live Mighty Mastermind call. Come join the conversation. You can connect with other professionals, post on the discussion board, direct message members, and become part of one of the most engaged communities for process servers. Don't wait. Go to mightyprocessserver.com and join today. Those who get verified get listed and start bidding on jobs same day. Now, let's get back to the show.
Ready for the rapid fire round?
Let's do it.
Awesome. Alyssa, what fun do you have in store for us today?
Okay, Bob, what is your absolute favorite skip trace tactic?
So basically, I use what everybody else does, different databases, IDI Core, Clear. I've got a free subscription to Tracers currently, Facebook, the internet, things like that. But one thing that I like to use, especially in a very populated area of like Cook County, is court case lookup. A lot of people are repeat offenders in civil cases. So if you're having trouble finding somebody, see if they've got another case out there. Maybe they've been served in another case. Where were they served at? So things like that, just little extra research tools to try and dig up where somebody's at. It's a little extra running around. Sometimes you have to pull a file to get the hard copy out there, but sometimes it's worth it.
That's awesome.
Okay, so what is your favorite tool for defense when serving?
Well, living on the south side of Chicago, you would think I probably have many things to defend myself. But when out in the field, honestly, it's conversation and words, using your words to get yourself out of a situation, walking away, things like that. There's a lot of tension in Chicago right now. There's a lot of violence. And I think being armed would invite more violence or invite more, kind of raised eyebrows and people not opening their doors than if I didn't have one. Basically, that's the way I feel about it. I'll talk to somebody, I'll talk their ear off to get out of a situation if I had to, or just walk away.
So Bob, tell me this, if you don't carry any protection as far as that goes, I totally get that. A lot of people are like that, but tell me, what words do you use? What makes you different from somebody else that you can talk your way out of a hairy situation like that?
Oh, a little bit of luck, obviously. Everybody needs luck. But again, assessing the situation, what am I serving? Is it something that may invite a confrontation, or is it something simple as somebody owes $900 to a credit card company? Just try and talk them off the ledge. If somebody wants to be confrontational, obviously human nature, it's very easy to be confrontational back. But if the real trick is if you can kind of give them a smile and kind of talk them down and say, hey, this is no big deal. This really isn't. You want me to leave? Oh, not a big deal. I'm not here to arrest anybody. I'm not here to confront anybody. I'm just here to deliver a little piece of paper or a couple pieces of paper, dummy down the situation.
That's good stuff. Yeah, I always say oftentimes I don't carry anything too. And for many, there's so many different reasons, but and I get it for people who do carry and the experiences that they've had makes them feel like they need to carry. But being able to have the confidence to be able to talk your way out of things and make that your primary weapon, if you will, for defense is definitely a good way to start.
Exactly.
I appreciate your feedback on that.
You're welcome.
Okay, now, Bob, this next question gets a lot of the guests. What would you do if you woke up tomorrow with the same skills and knowledge you have now, but you didn't know anybody? You had $100, a smartphone, and a car. How would you regrow your business?
First question, am I still married?
Do you want to be?
Well, then knock that $100 down to $50. Okay. Put a little bit of gas in the car, find somewhere to have something printed up, and go stand outside the courthouse. And I should say, you could go online in your off time, look at all the free stuff available to you, to process servers out there, I should say. There's a ton of webinars that are free. There are a ton of free sites out there where you can get information on not only how to regrow your business, how to get clients, how to serve better, how to create affidavits, things like that are free if you just go to the internet. So it's twofold: getting more information about serving, learning how to get clients, and then actually physically handing out things, obviously, to lawyers, law firms, paralegals, things like that is one way.
Now, what would you hand them? Would you spend some of the money on business cards?
Well, if you can get some business cards printed up for $10 or $20, then yeah, absolutely. Because you're there, you're the guy. You're introducing yourself to them, and you're the guy in the card, which is great. That's always big, to have FaceTime in front of people who may be calling you.
All right.
I love it. What I take from that, Bob, is get out there, just pound the pavement. Go out there, take the money that you have. I love that you gave half of the money to your wife. You're definitely a guy that knows how to stay married. Great job with that. And then just getting out there and taking care of business. I know so many people, they get analysis paralysis, and they sit back and they think, what can I do? They talk to all their friends. What can I do to start this business? Do something. Just get off your butt. Go knock on a door. What I love is when I get a serve from, here's the cool thing, is as you get going and you get some attorney clients, you're going to have people hiring you, affiliates or attorneys, doesn't matter. They're going to be hiring you to do what's called 1011 drops in California anyway. And you're going to go and serve other attorneys. And so as soon as you walk in the door and serve an attorney, now you are already qualified, because that means another attorney hired you to deliver that. And so when I walk in there, I have my serve, and then I have my card, fancy card right there, plastic, like thick, it's almost like a credit card size. And they're like, every time I get whoa, this is a nice card. And I'm like, yeah, they're like $5 each. And that's the way to do it, because the attorneys are like right away impressed, and they're like, yep, just give me a call. I take care of it. I always get my guy. And so that's the way, step by step you can do it. And there's so many resources out there. And Bob, I appreciate you sharing those. Bob, what is the greatest advice you've ever received?
Greatest advice I've ever received were from both my parents. My mom was a bookkeeper, and she gave me some great advice about business, just to do things right. Don't cut corners, because the corners will cut you back in the long run. My dad was kind of a quiet guy, but a World War II Marine, and he literally just said, lead by example. And those are just words that have stuck with me since I was a kid.
Thanks for sharing that. I know, especially when it comes from your parents, it's close to the vest, and I can't tell you enough how important it is when it comes to your taxes, saving money for unexpected things. Like you see all the printers behind me. Anytime you have too much money for taxes, take a portion of that and buy some printers, because you're eventually going to use them. So
the backup printers. Yep.
Bob, what software would you recommend for managing your serves?
I use ServeManager. It is intuitive and easy to use. Pre-made templates for affidavits. You can have a customized affidavit if you wish. They will create it for you. Say your state needs this type of affidavit, they can create it, or your client likes this affidavit and they're your biggest client, they will create that form for you. It's totally customizable. The people there are just out of this world. They will help you, no matter what your question is, especially for the beginning server. This this is the software that is the easiest to use by far for a server just starting out or a mid-sized company. Obviously, there's other softwares out there, but this one obviously is the easiest to use that I've seen so far in my 17 years. And I wish I had it 17 years ago when it wasn't existing.
Well, I tell you, I've used. I do want to just say that when you own your own business, the information that you take in is yours to manage. And one of the things that frustrates me, and I'm glad you brought up ServeManager, is that a lot of these other softwares, they don't give you the rights to their API code so that you can connect different things. ServeManager is leading the way because they went out and they said, listen, they told their developers, listen, we want the API technology to be able to talk directly to Zapier. And Zapier is connected to hundreds, if not 1,000 different apps. And so if you want to be able to just sit there and geek out, that's what got me started with automation domination, was when I saw that and I started playing with it. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm getting a text message every time I get a job. Every time I enter a job and I put a due date, I can have it automatically put it on my Google Calendar. This kind of stuff is powerful.
This software gives you the ability to look forward when, things are going to be so automated, they're ready for it. And you're working in the cloud, which, guess what? That's where we're going. There's people out there, and admittedly, I do it, have done it, where you're saving things on a hard drive, whether it's external, internal, or whatever. Well, guess what? They're not built to last forever. And that day that you need it and the day that it crashes could be a very bad day.
That's right. One of my favorite things about the fact that it's online like that, is that when I'm out in the field and I'm driving around, I'm actually going to serve somebody, so I'm getting paid, right? And I'm going out to serve somebody, and I'll get a little ding notification. First of all, I do a lot with automation, so when I'm out there driving to go serve somebody, I'll get a little ding from Stripe telling me, hey, someone just purchased, and then I'll get another little ding after they put in their form stack, and it says, hey, you got a new job. It's already been entered. I could seriously just right from the road, from my iPad or from my phone, dispatch that and assign it to a server, and they'll automatically get an email with a link to be able to log in, print out those documents, and go serve them in real time. There's nothing better than that. And so I'm glad you brought that up. And the whole online stuff, like if your computer crashes, or maybe you forgot your computer and you're out on vacation and you find out all of a sudden, that something happened, you need to go look at your stuff. You could see all your serves, everything that's going on from a hotel computer.
Absolutely. And everyone has that client that wants an affidavit or needs an affidavit because they lost it, and you are sitting, in your car and about to serve somebody, or you just served somebody, and they need that affidavit ASAP because they lost it. You can grab it and literally send it to them again. If you can't, find your email or things like that, you can send it to them because everything is on the cloud. It's not sitting on your hard drive in your office. I mentioned my name. I'm sure Trent and the fellas will give you a discount.
Okay, Bob. Well, that was good stuff. What is the best way that we can connect with you? And then we'll say goodbye.
Sure. WindyCityProcess.com is my web address. My phone number is 312-296-9506. That is my cell number. I am not afraid to give it out. And my email address is legalassistancechicago@gmail.com. And assistance is spelled ASSISTANTS.
That's a wrap on another episode of Process Server Daily, where the legal support industry levels up. Want to grow your process serving business with the best marketing tools, the most engaged community, and the highest ranking directory online? Visit mightyprocessserver.com. Claim your listing. Join our free community. Surround yourself with process servers who get it and build something real. From the field to the courtroom, this is Process Server Daily. Until next time, stay safe out there and live mighty.